Hello, welcome. Happy Women Empowering Women Night. All are welcome. And it's a night where we dive into history and who's come before us and gain insight, wisdom, and learn through the challenges of those who have gone before us and bring in words of wisdom for now. So super excited to be back. How are you guys?
I'm great. Thanks for having us.
And welcome home too. You're back home.
Yes.
I'm home. Yeah, so I had a good night's sleep last night and slept in.
Right.
So that was good restoration from my trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to be back. And we welcomed in Farah Sophia, over 9.5 pounds. I always have to say that because my daughter's like this big. She's tiny little person. And so we just continue to be shocked that she had such a big baby.
A 9-pound baby.
Over 9.5 pounds. Yes, and the head was 14 inches round.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And this was a home delivery too.
Home delivery. And so she was going to have, I know it's a toddler, Chris. So she was going to have the midwife come, her and her partner. And, she started laboring like the night before and just kind of, I feel a shift. She felt the shift in her body. She kind of knew. So she went down and got in the bath just to kind of remain calm and good. And like, she kind of did that throughout the night. And, she could tell things were happening, but it wasn't like, really strong or consistent. And then all of a sudden about 7:30 a.m., it shifted. And it was just like, whoa. And it took the breath out of her. And so she called for her partner and he came. She's like, I don't even know what came out of my mouth because I couldn't even catch my breath. It was so strong. He came down and they didn't even have time to call. So that's what happened. So they called, they called the midwife after. But yeah, so he and they did it together.
Beautiful.
That's amazing.
But it is just amazing how incredible women are in the birthing process. And it's just an incredible feat of strength.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Oh gosh.
It is amazing. And they just, I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of him for really being that support and consistent right there. She said she couldn't have, she would have, it just hit her so strongly in that moment. She's like, it was nice to have him there to help her wrap her mind around the pain and what was happening so quickly. So yeah. So
that's amazing.
How are you guys? What's up up in your neck of the woods?
I'm guessing I'm up.
What's happened with you, Andrea? Everything good in Canada?
Everything's good here. Just working and hanging out and enjoying life, right? You got to enjoy your life every day. Every day.
Find that joy. Find the joy.
That's right.
No matter what's happening.
That's right.
Try to find some
Make yourself
joy.
laugh. Do something nice for yourself, whatever it is.
Yep.
Keep that energy high.
That is true.
How you doing, Kim?
I'm doing good. So Cassie will be here Sunday. So I'm very excited, very happy. They're going to be here through Christmas or the New Year. So that will be fun. And Adam has a cold right now, and he's the worst patient. It's terrible. But hopefully he'll get better.
Oh, poor Adam.
I know it's miserable to be sick, but yeah, I'd rather it be me than him because it's worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's doing good.
Oh, good. Well, hopefully it passes quickly. What day is he on of it?
It seems like day 10, but it's day 2.
It's funny to talk about a tiny woman giving birth to a 9-pound baby,
Right.
and then a man can't have a cold.
I mean, it's right. Exactly. The story of this show, we see it every week.
A good example.
Women can handle so much.
Throwing Adam under the
Funny
bus.
comparison.
Yeah, but that's a good synopsis of what we do.
So yeah, it's a good segue into the show.
It really is. It is a good segue. Well, welcome everyone, and if you're new here, welcome, and please subscribe to all the channels because we switcheroo on all the channels. So every Monday we'll be on a different channel, whether it's Lilac Lantern or Kim from Intuitive View. Go and visit their sites as well. Luna's not having this right now.
Yeah, shout out to Luna. She's glad you're
like,
well,
I've been gone, so this is what
guys say she missed you.
And
pay attention to me.
Any minute she's going to get mad and attack me like she did last night. I have scars. All right, so let's get started. And I feel I think I'm first. So yeah.
And Debbie, before you start, I just wanted to recognize well, Tarot Love Community, and also Medium Kim is in the
cool.
in the house. And if I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, that's all.
Yay. Well, hi, Tarot Love Community, Renee. Go check it out, everyone. Tarot Love Community and Medium Kim. Yay. Welcome. Okay. We are going to I'm going to try to do all this with Luna being laughing right
She's so cute.
So cute.
Oh yeah, she
needs a lot of kisses.
Wait. You think she's so cute?
Oh no.
Ooh.
Where have you been?
Not cute.
This bad.
You're cute. You're cute, baby. It's all right. Okay. And if you missed it on Medium Kim's channel, we Kim and I did a show with Danny, a Christmas thing, so or a holiday thing. So check that out. All right, nice. Here we go. We are going to start with Albert Cashier. And you're like, wait, we do women here. Wait, hold on there. We are doing a woman. So let me pull this over here. Luna, you really... Okay. Albert Cashier, a.k.a. Ginny Hodgers. She was born December 25th, 1843. And she passed October 10th, 1915. There are over 400 documented cases of women disguising themselves as men and fighting as soldiers on both sides during the Civil War. The case of Albert Cashier, born Jenny Hodgers, with a female sex assignment is one of the most famous because Cashier continued to live as a man after the war and was not discovered until a couple of years before his death. His consistent and nearly lifelong commitment to a male identity has prompted some contemporary scholars to think of Cashier as a transgender man. Cashier was born on December 25th, 1843 in Clogherhead, County Louth, Ireland. Not much is known about his early life, as the only account available was given by Cashier when he was suffering from dementia in 1913. This much is certain. On August 6, 1862, Albert Cashier, a resident of Belvidere, Illinois, enlisted in the 95th Illinois Infantry. Although he was the shortest soldier in the regiment and kept mostly to himself, Cashier was accepted as one of the boys and considered to be a good soldier. Cashier's regiment was part of the Army of the Tennessee and fought in over 40 engagements, including the Siege of Vicksburg, the Battle of Nashville, the Red River Campaign, and the battles of Kennesaw Mountain and Jonesboro, Georgia. There is an account of Cashier being captured and escaping by overpowering a prison guard, but no further details of this event exist. Cashier served a full 3-year enlistment with his regiment until they were all mustered out on August 17, 1865, after losing a total of 289 soldiers to death and disease. After the war, Cashier returned to Illinois, where he settled in Sonneman. He continued his identity as a man and held many different jobs, including farmhand, church janitor, cemetery worker, and street lamp lighter. Cashier also voted in elections at a time when women did not have the right to vote and collected his veterans pension. In November of 1910, Cashier was hit by a car and broke his leg, at which time his sex assignment at birth was discovered. The local hospital agreed not to divulge his sex assignment, and he was sent to the Soldiers and Sailors Home in Quincy, Illinois, to recover. Cashier remained a resident of the home until March of 1913, when, due to an onset of dementia, he was sent to a state hospital for the insane. Attendants there discovered his sex assignment and forced him to wear a dress. The press got hold of the story, and soon everyone knew that Private Albert Cashier had been born Jenny Hodgers. Many of his former comrades, although initially surprised at this revelation, were supportive of Cashier and protested his treatment at the state hospital. When Cashier died on October 10, 1915, he was buried in his full uniform and given a tombstone inscribed with his male identity and military service. So this is Cashier. And I just felt the timing was appropriate, and his story amazing, and how before making that transition, her strength, and when he became himself, how he was able to carry that through for so many years, and then the appalling treatment, being forced to wear a dress in his last days. I mean, so
I can't imagine how he would have managed to have period once a month in the military.
Right.
Like how, I mean, they didn't, they certainly didn't have the women's products we have nowadays. What on earth did he do?
Right.
I mean, that alone would have been so stressful, and having to hide, I'm sure they were using latrines, common latrine, like how, I'm sorry, that's the first thing that popped into my mind.
Right.
How do you do that? That is so amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I let's see. Move.
It's interesting. So I'm feeling like for some reason he either didn't have them, or the stress of the situation was that he didn't have them.
Stress could stop it. Yep.
Something like that. But I feel like it wasn't,
wasn't an issue.
It wasn't an issue very often. It just wasn't there is what it feels like. And I'm asking like, why? And it doesn't feel like it feels like stress, or it was something to do with the how the body functioned in that situation.
And nutrition and all sorts of things.
All of that, yeah.
The vigorous of what was happening. Mm-hmm. The vigors.
My goodness.
Vigors. Okay. What else? I'm just curious. Go ahead.
No, this is one I felt so strongly right away that he's back now and is a man.
I felt that too instantly that he
You did?
Oh yeah, instantly.
Yeah, I feel like he's back now and he's a man.
Wow.
In fact, I got the image of the King of Cups, that card, the King of Cups. And so I don't know what that means, but but that's what I got, was that card. And so
well, the King of Cups represents someone who has gone through a lot and really is stable with emotions, and it lives full of love, and that's what I always think of when I think of the
I'm getting like 50 and 60 right now.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's funny. Kim, that's so amazing. Instantly, I could feel. Sometimes the energy is just different when someone's already back.
Right.
Trying to figure out what he's doing. Still working.
And I feel like he's like that a lot of that there was a feeling of this was a more natural state at the time, but he's like, it had more to do with my spirit than I realized, because you had so many more freedoms as a man back then, and that it was like at the time that gender fit his spirit so much more than female at the time. It just didn't fit. And even now I feel like that there's this kind of there's this a huge, I mean, we all are used to freedom as spirits, right? But I feel like when it's almost like that couldn't be driven out of him when he was here, because a lot of us will conform to whatever situation we're in, whatever situation we're born into, we kind of conform to it and figure it out. And it was almost like it did not work, because it was too, at that time in particular too, it was too confined. It was so restrictive. And so the gender of male fit for a lot of reasons. And one was that this kind of spirit that just couldn't be confined like that at the time, you know. It wasn't possible. It's almost like this wasn't possible. I couldn't do it. It just, male fit me like a glove then. It was the way it was.
He's also saying that he would have made that transition whether there was a war or not. He would have lived that way. He also said there was some, it was not easy at first to hide that, to hide things like, you know, when you're out in you have to go to the bathroom or something, you're not going to the bathroom like the other gentleman, right? So there's like little things like that you have to continue to stay. You have to be aware of so many little details that they would kind of figure it out. He's making me feel that there was a comrade that knew, that helped him keep it a secret. when he was in the regimen or whatever.
You know what? I got the same thing, Debbie, but I felt like the person had a very just a more feminine energy. I almost want to say that the person that confided in him was gay. And I feel like it's almost like they assisted and they were each other's confidant, basically. But that's so interesting that you say that, because I was sitting here thinking, is it a woman? But I felt like, nope, that's not right. But yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
I keep hearing the word bravery. I mean, Albert, just to live as a man, no war or anything, we know would have been a very dangerous at the time situation. And then to want to go into the war and do battles. So this person is very courageous, very brave. These are choices that are not easily made by most people, but he had the bravery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Her sneezes are ridiculous.
I asked if Albert had any romance during whether, with anything. And I pulled a card Ice King out of the romance deck. So I'm kind of thinking he stayed away. I'm a tough guy. I don't, maybe I don't need someone, or, keeping that icy veneer to keep maybe women away, or whatever the case was.
Right.
I'm not sensing a relationship, like a long-term one, or wow. The bravery.
Yeah.
I can't get, and you're saying Albert was small too, right? Like not as big as the other guys in the army and things like that. So I really like the gumption and the I don't know. I love the bravery of this person. This is an extremely strong person going against the odds that most of us wouldn't even understand. With who they were as a person and in a war. My goodness.
I'm asking a bit, about where he lived and, doing his jobs and so forth like that. And did he feel like he had to continue to work as hard to hide that other part of him? And he said, no, after once the story is established, you don't have to continue to try to prove the story. It just is that it is. They just thought I was kind of an oddball, but they just figured, he was in the war. He doesn't, he's a little bit odd, but they wouldn't question that, because it just wasn't, you didn't have to continue to prove and prove. It was just,
and it probably wouldn't have come to anyone's mind that it was a woman,
right?
Biologically woman. That they probably weren't thinking in those terms.
It just wasn't that way.
Yeah.
So he's talking. So in the point at the hospital where he's there, he's made to wear a dress. He's saying like, he felt it was their own, basically discrimination, their own anger about this, that it wasn't, and also the idea too that he's like, this was seen as like you're confused, so let's help, we're going to help you out here. So it was like seen as like you're mentally ill, there's something wrong with your brain, so we're going to figure it out for you. But he's also saying like, I sensed their just outrage, anger and feeling like how dare you try to fool people, that kind of thing. So but he's saying it was such a humiliating and awful experience.
Well, I mean, he was in an insane. They put him in an insane asylum for his dementia stuff. So it makes sense that they treated him for mental health. But then you have, of course, I could, yeah, not a good scene for him. Just a horrible situation.
It's funny it's funny when you look at this story and you see how we are conditioned to have to identify a person as a specific gender. It's interesting that you see it. So lives the life as a man, goes to the hospital. They didn't even have the dignity to let him continue to be a man. Like what would that hurt? Let him wear pajama pants or whatever, right? Like, but no, they had to prove their point. This is a woman. This person goes in a dress, right? Because that's what we say, and that's what we've been told, and that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah, why do we have to identify people as certain, I mean, I guess for some medical reasons you might, but not on a day-to-day, like, I don't care.
Well, at some point, I guess it was against the law for a woman to dress like a man. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I do hear the humiliation. So Albert was aware that he was being put in a dress, even if he had dementia.
Right.
I'm sure he had moments of clarity. I do hear the humiliation word. So
he's showing me the King of Cups too now. And being that advocate, because the King of Cups is emotionally stable. So you have that, where humans start to fall is when our emotions get the best of us. So our emotion gets the best of us when we are challenged by someone saying, I'm a man, even though they were born with female parts, right? And so I feel like with that message, I feel like now, this life now, he's an advocate for that community. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Just asking Albert how it felt to be a woman, like when you told you're a woman and had to identify early. So the ideation, it just didn't make sense. Circle in a square and trying to get into a circle. Like it just didn't make sense. It wasn't the right idea. A hunger, a longing for something else, as we know, eventually got to realize. Pain it hurt. I'm also going to go with depression with the black card. So, and space. So keeping away from people, which also he did later, but just not feeling right. Just that awkwardness. Like I'm in this body, but it's not who I am at all.
Right.
And, just with that, how long ago was this? The late 1800s or something, early 1900s?
Mid 1800s. So,
mid.
Yeah. So they're trying to, sometimes you hear that they're trying to blame reasons for people who want to switch gender on modern things like birth control in the water, or mother was on something, or drugs, whatever ridiculous conversation piece they want to bring up. We're talking about someone doing this late 1800s. There wasn't the rapid amount of use of drugs or birth control or substances in the air. So it's not an outward causing situation, right? This is something you're feeling inside. So kind of blows any argument out of the water if they're trying to say it's exterior circumstances that would make someone do this.
Right.
Because, 200 years ago, whatever it is, I don't know the math, like you're talking meat, potatoes, and fresh air, and, they're not talking.
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, it also shows how personal this stuff is. It's not anybody else's decision or right or judgment to make. It's you. It's your own personal how you feel and what you feel like, and what living your truth, living what you are or what you believe you are. And you know, I think about these people still trying to control, trying to say, no, I don't like this. And it may, or I don't, and this is not the way it should be. So you're going to live the way I think you should. It's ludicrous. And I'm sure at some point we will look back on this and think it is insane. I think it's insane today, but I'm saying other people or history will look back and say, what in the world? Who did these people think they were?
Yeah.
Get out of people's business, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like that's the exact
live the way they want to live.
Yeah. And that is the exact message that he's bringing in. It's just like, it's something that it's interesting. And I don't think, I always see divine connections. But Chris and I had our conversation today, and it was about this exact thing. And I hadn't even moved into my research on Albert yet. So this is very interesting that, you know, where awakening happens is at the point of letting go of the sense that everybody has to be like you to be okay. Mm-hmm. And so, wow. And that's what Albert is saying. He's like, we have to let go of that.
Yeah. Why do I have to fit your narrative? Right.
And why do others have to fit our narrative?
Yeah. Right. So it's like,
that's the awakening.
Why are you pushing a narrative on someone else when it's none of your business?
Yeah.
It doesn't affect you. It's not hurting anybody.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Get out. Get out. Out of our business. I mean, this is for like abortion or any of these things where it's like, just get out. Just mind your business. Get in your own, you know.
And even if they want to say the religious angle, you know, it's not, you know, God said this or whatever. It's, you know what, then why don't you just let God deal with it, with that person, and get out of it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why is it your business?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you're right, Andrea, the bravery to make the decision to have what was going on the inside to reflect on the outside. It is incredible bravery, but it also shows too that how strong the impulse was, how strong the belief was that this is who I am.
Yeah, true to the core.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't go up, you wouldn't put yourself through what Albert did if it wasn't true to Albert.
Right.
And the same today when people are making big decisions with surgeries and stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Love, 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 light, light, light.
Mm-hmm.
I love when Kim's like, just get out of it.
Get out.
True.
It's like, hell, you don't have enough to worry about.
Right.
Just worry about your own dumb self.
You're seeing it here, guys. You're seeing Kim.
The holidays are getting to me.
No.
It's a very inspiring story. Where Jenny started and where Albert ended.
Yeah.
And if you think you've got problems, you know, take a look at this story and realize, you know, you're probably doing okay because you weren't going through that at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yay. Thank you, Albert, for paving the way.
Yes.
The ripples have been effective. So thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so Kim, I think yes, Kim is next.
Okay. Now it's something completely different.
This is very different
kind of life. So yeah. Good. So I picked the singer Etta James. There she is. And so Etta James was a gospel prodigy. In 1954, she moved to Los Angeles to record The Wallflower, and her career had begun to soar by the 1960s, due in no small part to the songs I'd Rather Go Blind and At Last. So you may have heard her. So she was born Jamesetta Hawkins on January 5th, 1938 in Los Angeles, California, to a 14-year-old mother, Dorothy Hawkins. And she really encouraged her daughter to sing. She was a very, very unstable figure, had a lot of relationships with men and a lot of just unhealthy dynamics with her mother. And her father was kind of absent. But she said her mother did always support her singing. And she always told her, even if a song has been done 1,000 times, you can still bring something of it that's your own. And she said, I like to think that I did that. She never knew her father. By the age of 5, she was known as a gospel prodigy. She gained fame by singing in church, in the church choir, and on the radio. And I also read in a couple places that her first and second singing coaches were very abusive. So this is a woman who's had a lot of trauma and just very unstable upbringing. And as I looked at this stuff again and again, I heard her say, music saved me. Music saved me. So this was just, that was the consistency in her life, was music. Just so as you, the story, that was the one consistent thing through her life. So at age 12, she moved to North San Francisco, where she performed in a trio and was soon working for band leader Johnny Otis. And 4 years later, in 1954, she moved to Los Angeles to record Wallflower, or The Wallflower. Then she toured with the Otis Band. And it was that year that she became Etta James. Somebody said she should switch her name around, and she was named Jamesetta. So they said to switch it around and make it Etta James, and that's what she did. So soon after, James launched her solo career, and such hits as Good Rockin' Daddy in 1955 became famous. After singing with Chicago Chess Records in 1960, she began, her career really began to take off. She had a lot of chart toppers. All I Could Do Was Cry, and At Last, and Trust in Me. But her talents weren't just reserved to powerful ballads. She also knew how to rock the house, and did so with such gospel charged tunes as Something's Got a Hold on Me in 1962, and In the Basement in 1966. And I'd Rather Go Blind in 1968. So she went on to do a ton of stuff, and she did have an awful drug issue with heroin that went on. Some people say it spanned a couple of decades, so a very long history with drug abuse. And but in 1973, she did get a Grammy nomination. And she was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993. And she, it said with suggestive stage antics and a sassy attitude, she continued to perform and record well into the 1990s. She was always soulful, and her extraordinary voice was showcased to great effect on her recent private releases, including Blue Gardenia, which rose to top of the Billboard charts as late as 2003. So even after her, death, they kept releasing things that she had done. So anyways, as she entered into her 70s, she began to struggle with health issues. She was hospitalized for a blood infection, along with other ailments. And it was later revealed that she suffered from dementia. And she was also receiving treatment for leukemia when she passed away. There was a lawsuit between her husband at the time of her death and her two sons, and it was later kind of figured out with a settlement between them. So they figured it out. She died on January 20th, 2012, 5 days before her 74th birthday. And, she didn't just do, kind of soulful ballads. She was gospel. She did jazz. She did rock. She did, she was so extremely versatile as a singer. And, she's just one of the greats.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't get over the amount of trauma in her early life, and just the way that she just kind of went on, just kind of persevered and did her thing, and kind of worked and always worked as a singer. But I kept getting that it was the thing that saved her. It was the thing that was her consistent friend through her whole life. And I think, too, she got such love and praise from her audience. I'm sure that was she actually, it's so funny because she actually reminded me a lot of Judy Garland when we looked at her. A lot of early trauma, but sang her whole life and performed her whole life. And that was her, and that the audience, that was really her family. And that was where she got so much love that she just didn't get as a kid.
So music is vibration, she said. And you can never go wrong with music and singing. Even if you can't sing. It will move you to places that you need to be in your vibration. If you ever find yourself down, sing, she says. She said, I found my way. I found myself despite all the abusers, all the users, and everybody who tried to steal from my life. She said, I was basically a piece of meat around a bunch of ravenous wolves. Constant. But she found her joy, like you said, in her music, she said. But she said, sometimes I found it in the wrong places as well. Find her trying to find peace from the turmoil, the inner turmoil of what was stolen from her.
Well, I got that she, her voice was hers. So whoever was hurting her or abusing her, all these things, that's one thing they could not take from her, is that talent that she had. And she knew she could always make money off of it. So she had something that no one could take from her. She'd always be okay because she could still sing. So it was her best friend. It was her happy place. It was her savior. It was her voice. I mean, what a voice.
Yeah, no kidding.
The opening of,
I know. She's amazing.
Wow.
So amazing. Yeah.
And people try to take down those with talent as well. I'm sure she had lots of people who would try to bring her down or cause chaos. But I mean, you can't. Something like that is literally God-given. That kind of voice. It goes beyond anything else. It has so much power.
I'm asking her if you could go and change your life and just sing to yourself, doing whatever you love to do without, being part of the industry that, tried to destroy you from the outside.
Mm.
And she said no, because the music is moving, is a moving vibration and helping people reach places within their own souls, within their self. So she wouldn't trade what she went through.
And you kind of can't sing that. I don't know if that's entirely true, but I'm guessing she sang with that soulfulness because of the pain she'd been through. Like when she's hitting those notes, there's real emotion in it coming from her. So maybe she wouldn't trade a lot of it because it gave her that depth. You can feel it when you hear her music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I feel like she had I know that it said that she would, she obviously sang gospel, but I didn't read a lot about anything really about her faith, but she sings she had a deep faith, and she really felt like her voice was proof that she was touched by God.
Mm-hmm.
So she felt it was it was a link. It was like a link. So when she sang, she really felt connected to the divine.
Yes. Yes. And yes.
In a powerful way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I read something that I think Elvis said she was one of his favorite singers. So then I was watching a lot of her videos and I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just beautiful. There was a lot of spiritual songs she was singing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and that he's the same thing, right? He had that gospel background and that. I also feel like that's why the drugs ultimately stopped, was she either started to see that it was affecting her voice, or she was afraid it would ultimately affect her voice. And that really was kind of the cutoff point. But she said that the kind of drugs that appealed to her were ones that helped her to not think so much. I feel like there was a lot of trauma, bad memories and things that she really didn't want to hold on to all the time. It was heavy stuff, and I just feel like it kind of gave her some kind of a release from all of that.
Yeah.
It was self-medicating, I think.
Yeah.
It really was for trauma.
Yeah. Yes.
And shame on those who hurt her.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a relief from the inner turmoil and self-medicating. Mm-hmm.
And there's a light that shines out of her. I mean, you see it in her pictures, but I see it here now in her energy. There's just like this beautiful light, her aura or something. It's a beautiful light shining from her.
And I don't see her coming back for a while.
I didn't see that either, Debbie.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm singing with Jesus.
Yeah, she's up there in the choir, right?
Right.
Why would I want to come back? Yeah.
And it's interesting because I feel like that is what it sounds odd, but I feel like that's what greeted her upon her passing was music. It's like it drew her to it. It pulled her or helped her through to the other side. And I also feel like her mom was there as well. But I do feel like music was like there was something that drew her over to the other side that had to do with music. So yeah.
She's showing all the people she met that helped her with her music too. When you're talking to her, she's showing me who helped her with her music from the other side.
She's a very happy spirit, like very happy energy, like really this like a big happy bubble or something. It's really nice, a beautiful energy aura. What a talent, my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you, Etta James.
And again, another inspirational story was what she went through.
Yeah.
Persevered and became a huge success with her gift.
Right. And again, too, kind of what was on the outside of her, what was around her, especially in the beginning, did not fit at all what was going on inside. That joyful voice that was there that she could share, that was did not reflect what was inside of her, what was going on outside.
Right.
So
beautiful soul.
Amazing lady. Yeah, beautiful soul.
Thank you. Okay. So next we have Andrea, and we're doing something special with Andrea's.
So I picked an event instead of a person because this event I feel has a ripple effect. And I'd like us just to kind of check in, see what we feel from the event since or added, or any of the people, whatever you pick up. So it's the Seneca Falls Convention. It was the first women's rights convention in the United States. It was advertised as a convention to discuss the social, civil, and religious condition and rights of women. It was held at the Wesleyan Chapel in the town of Seneca Falls, New York. It spanned 2 days over July 19th and 20th in 1884. Attracting widespread attention, it was soon followed by other women's rights conventions. So group of ladies on the scene and in New York, discussing their life and frustrations with their husbands, their rights, their everything. A couple of the women had actually gone to London for the 1840 World Anti-Slavery Convention. With a majority of the vote from the male attendees, the American female delegates were barred from fully partaking in the proceedings. They could stand in the balcony, but they were not allowed to speak. This experience, a vivid illustration of women's status as second-class citizens, is what motivated these activists, two of them that went to this particular convention in London was Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. And they began advocating for women's rights from that experience, as well as they continued their crusade to claim slavery as evil. In the 1840s, women in America were reaching out for greater control of their lives. Husbands and fathers directed the lives of women, and many doors were closed to female participation. The law prohibited women from inheriting property, signing contracts, serving on juries, and voting in elections. Women's prospects in employment were dim. They could only expect to gain a very few service-related jobs and were paid about half of what men were paid, and husbands controlled the money their wives made. So how do you like them apples?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All of this occurring in an era which women were often not allowed to speak in public. Now, I flipped out when I read that because I don't know if I was aware that women weren't allowed to speak in public. I haven't been able to control myself since I've read that. And a side note, in 1831, Reverend Finney began allowing women to pray aloud in gatherings of men and women. 1831, allowed to pray out loud. 1840s, still not allowed to speak in public. Did you know that women weren't allowed? I mean, I'm sure that makes sense, but I don't know that I knew it.
Yeah, no.
Wow. I'm boiling. So
Right.
these women got together, and out of their conversations and frustration came the idea of the Seneca Falls Convention. The women presented and prepared 2 documents. One was the Declaration of Sentiments, and they sort of mimic the Declaration of Independence, but reworded it and included women and, made this list of things. They also made a list of resolutions. So they prepared issues and possible solutions. And this was all to be debated, modified, and put forward for signatures at the end of the convention. During the convention, the Declaration of Sentiments became the single most important factor in spreading news of the women's rights movement around the country in 1848 and into the future. So if you want to check it out, you guys can check out the Declaration of Sentiments if you guys are interested after the show, everybody. So the first session, even though it had been announced to be exclusively for women, some young children of both sexes were brought by their mothers, and as well, 40 men were expected to attend. The men were not turned away, but asked to remain silent. So that day one was just supposed to be the ladies, but some males showed up. They allowed them in, but they said, "You no talk." So 3 sessions happened on the first day. And at the end of the evening session, Lucretia, I hope I'm saying that right, Mott, at the end of the session, she asked the men present to help women gain the equality they deserved. And that just really hit me. Like, will you please help us? Will you help us gain the equality we deserve? A larger crowd attended on the second day, including more men. James Mott, her husband, had to chair the meeting because it was still too radical of a concept that a woman would serve as a chair in front of a meeting in front of men and women. Oh my God. So her husband had to chair the event. Thank God he was for the movement. The afternoon session on the second day, the 11 resolutions were read again, and each one was voted on individually. The only one that was materially questioned was the 9th one. So this one was the one where there was the most contention, and that was regarding the women's right to vote. Frederick Douglass, the only African American at the meeting, stood and spoke eloquently in favor of it. He said that he could not accept the right to vote himself as a Black man if women could not also claim that right. Douglass projected that the world would be a better place if women were involved in the political sphere. He said, "In this denial of the right to participate in government, it's not only degrading to women, it is the continuation of a great injustice and the maiming and rejection of one half of the moral and intellectual power of the government of the world." So it's hurting half of the world, it's rejecting half of the world, So his words rang true with many people in attendance, and the resolution passed by a large majority. Local newspapers printed reports of the convention, some positive and others not. One that wasn't said, "This bolt is the most shocking and unnatural incident ever recorded in the history of womanity. I don't know, whatever word they're using. Womanity." Listen to this. If our ladies will insist on voting and legislation, where, gentlemen, will be our dinners and our elbows? Where are domestic firesides and holes in our stockings? So if women are going to do stuff, where's my food?
What?
Right? Raging. Okay. Some of the ministers heading congregations in the area attended the Seneca Falls Convention, but none of them spoke during the sessions, not even when they were asked forward to bring comments on the floor. Like they were invited, hey, do you have anything you want to say about what we're doing here?
Mm-hmm.
So none of them said a word. Side note, that Sunday after the convention, many religious leaders who had attended and more who had not attacked the convention and the Declaration of Sentiments and the resolutions. Women in the churches reported this to the women who had started the convention, letting them know that the ministers had poo-pooed the whole thing. The ministers were then seen as acting cowardly since within their congregations, no woman was allowed to reply out loud. So the minister could be up there saying this is an abomination, but women weren't allowed to say anything out loud. Oh God. I still can't believe this happened.
Well, but you're right. It still happens.
Yeah, right. It's still happening
in churches and stuff. That's how they run. You know, women aren't to talk.
It's just,
yeah.
At the end of the convention, 100 of the 300 people present signed the Declaration of Sentiments, including 68 women and 32 men. Closing remarks and the final statement of the convention was, we hope this convention will be followed by a series of conventions embracing every part of the country. And I say to those women, what would they think if in 2022 we are still having conventions about women's rights?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So these women are amazing historic figures.
Yes.
There's quite a few on the list. I won't read them all out, but you guys can check it out. Seneca Falls Convention.
Oh, read some though. Read some. So let's see.
I'm just going to look it up then.
Oh, sorry. I thought you had it right there because I'm like, oh.
No, I didn't. But
you have them.
Well, there's the women, the second picture down. So that's sort of, I think that's sort of the group of them specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Were the ones who started it. And then you see the sketch at the top. That's where that was the convention. Obviously, there wasn't any photography. And then there's the names of the people that attended. And it's pretty awesome that they got so riled up over the convention in London about, ending slavery, and they weren't even allowed to speak. And it was one of the things they wanted, to be there for, to help support, because they knew it was evil.
Mm-hmm.
Completely silenced. And then they get home and they're just like, we couldn't talk there. We can't talk here. My husband controls me,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, let's have a little convention and see what happens. And I'm just so proud of them. I'm so proud of these women, our sisters, our the shoulders we stand on. And I just was wondering what we get from that. That's a historic monument. And that Frederick Douglass was there and spoke, supporting all of this.
Stepping into this, and I entered in just kind of talking, just shouting out, see who's going to come in. But I just said, wow, you guys are heroes to us for, pushing through and doing this or whatever. And someone came forward and said the true heroes were the ladies that would always show up to these things and come to like the conventions or the protest. They didn't call them protests, but where they would walk and hold their signs.
Yeah.
And then would go home and get beat by their husband for being there. She said those are the true heroes.
Oh my goodness.
Women. Those are the women you need to talk about.
Jeez, that just gave me goosebumps, Debbie.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think, there's so many layers to that you don't even think of.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, okay. So we are saying that they are our heroes then.
Yes.
Those women.
I literally see a ripple effect. I could see the combustion or whatever you want to call it at this convention and the vibration and the frequency it put out. Because word got out, right? Chatter got out. Other women heard about it. Other women in other cities, other towns, other countries, wherever you want to go. And that ripple effect is, I got goosebumps. It's still today. Like we can feel the shift that these women, bless them. Oh, Luna loving her mom. We have a commercial break. We're going to present love right now. Unconditional love. He's like, Mom, I forgive you for going away. Let's not do that again.
You can scratch me anymore.
Aww.
Yeah. All right.
So just can you feel it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like that?
Yes.
Oh.
Because it hadn't happened before.
I feel like there's something too about this, what we're going through now. It's kind of like it, I feel like it will be rectified. It will be rectified. And there's something about, I don't completely understand it because I almost feel like it's scientific, where they're saying when you don't have freedom and then you desire freedom, there's power in that. It's like just that desire for, I want to be free, or I want to be free to have this, or I want to be free to be able to do this. There's such power in just that realization. And then that this is what I want. And it has to do with freedom. It's like there's a real like energetic power behind that. And then when you come together as a group and want that, it has even more. It's so much more power. And so I feel like the message is eventually it will happen. And then when you gather more and more, you think of like after the election 2016, when all the women came together, and we're like basically saying after 2016, even though you put this person in who is a complete opposite of this woman, even though you did that to us, we're here to tell you we're not going backwards. And even though they do this thing with the abortion thing, we're not going to do this. So we're going to go forward. I almost feel like it's like a pep talk. Like no matter what is happening, you think is happening, or what they think they're doing, it's not a match for this desire for equality, for freedom over our own bodies. It's not a match for that, and so it's going to move forward regardless. It's just going to, because when you have one person desiring that, that's one thing. When you have groups desiring that, you cannot
fight that.
No.
Can't fight that wave.
You fight it for a little bit, try to pull it back a little bit, but you cannot ultimately fight it. Yeah.
It's not a ripple. That's a wave.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when we can connect so much easier nowadays, right? A global connection.
So then I ask about to the brave women who would go home knowing that they would, and I said, what kept you being so brave to go back and do it again and again, and I heard my daughters didn't want them to get stuck in a situation like I am.
They are in,
or that she was in, and so then I hear as a chorus, our daughters.
Wow.
Which makes me obviously
wow.
But yeah, do it for our daughters.
Yes.
Yeah.
A spark. They literally started a spark. And
it started a fire.
Right. And the instruments of frequency, right? Vibration, harmony. They started a woman's movement. Literally, they lit the fire.
Yeah.
That was burnt. It's funny. I was reading, and one of the women, she was so frustrated with the stuff going on. Like she couldn't have anything. Her husband had, controlled everything. Who knows what else was going on in the home. And she just blurted it all out in this meeting with the women, right? Before they decided to have the convention. And then the other ones were saying, yeah, like me too. Like she said it was like decades of pent up frustration. Like silenced by the father, silenced by the husband, silenced by the government, silenced by the ministers. It's just like, I can't take it anymore.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
Yes. No,
That's
me
exactly
too. And
right.
you know, yeah.
We're seeing that in Iran today, right?
Run. Mm-hmm.
That's not, I'm upset over a year or two. That's hundreds of years of being told, to put your head down and be quiet. That's exactly what that is. That's going on in the country right now. And I am so glad there are so many young men next to them fighting alongside them, because enlightened or normal men, enlightened men,
dying alongside.
They know that if women don't have rights, that's bad for everybody. That's bad for everybody. If anyone doesn't have rights, it's bad for everyone ultimately.
It is.
Yeah. But yeah, Andrea, that's exactly, I think, that what happened there. It was like, it was just, it just exploded. It was just enough. They couldn't keep it in any longer. It just came out.
And we're talking about bravery. Each of our guests tonight were both very brave, as was this moment in time where these women, because anything could have happened. They could have been arrested for talking in public. Who knows what could have happened? And obviously a shout out to the men that were supporting them, their husbands,
right.
and then attended, Frederick Douglass, like, big shout out, because that certainly helped. We have to be all enlightened. We have to all love each other. And I'm so excited for these women that did it. Like this, imagine just like in a cabin house back in the 1800s, in their frocks and, no luxuries that we know today. And they at the table and they figured it out what to do. And they did it peacefully, and they allowed men to attend. First day women, but then the men showed up, so they let them in. Please don't speak. Second day open to everybody. So it was mature. It was a mature approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Ah.
Yeah.
Influenced by Iroquois women who had equality with their men. Ah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So we can feel that shockwave today. We're carrying on, right?
Let's take that wave and continue.
Yes.
We can't. There's no. It's time. We need to keep this movement going. We can't.
It's the way you think. It's the way you talk. Even if you can't go to a protest, or maybe you can donate to something online, or if you hear someone talking negatively, or whoever it is, someone trying to keep women down or a group of people down, correct them or say something.
Right. We
can't be silent. Mm-hmm. But again, doing it in a way where there's not blowback. So, I don't know, is respectful the right word? Or
mature.
Yes.
Mature. Maybe we need a little good trouble.
Possibly, yes. So it's just, I feel, pretty, because I can see them. I could see them sitting there, in the cabin house and talking and planning, and it's that moment's very exciting. I can sense it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I'm very thankful that they did that.
Me too. Absolutely.
I feel like they're all standing there, and I'm just, as we're all saying, we're grateful and stuff like that, and that all their hard work really has rippled in history, and so they're just kind of all smiling and being a part of this conversation and honored. Yeah. We're honoring them. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, awesome. Awesome ladies.
So, an inspiring night all around,
And
everybody.
another inspiring Monday.
That's right.
Mhm.
What are you going to do this week? Take a bite out of this week, right? Go out there and get it, whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, because we had stories on that personal truth. What is your personal truth? What is your what do you, what is your what's going on inside of you that you want to express, and then also this idea of coming together as well, which we're doing that right now, right? We're coming together, and in a community, and so.
Yeah, and then, your personal truth, and then someone who, against all odds, rose above it, her challenges and strength, and
then the group coming
together to change.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you to all our past loved ones for coming through and talking to us tonight, encouraging us all. Thank you to the family that came and hung out with us.
Thank you.
And to the moderators for holding space and posting things and doing all that. So thank you, Sharon Sipe, for doing that, and Tracy and others. Blessings to you all, and have a strong week, everyone. And we will see you next week on Kim's channel. Okay.
Yay.
And so we'll see you there.
And if everyone wants to pop on over to Aiden Reads Tarot, he premiere in 9 minutes from now.
Oh,
Aiden
and I recorded a show, and it was really awesome.
Nice. I'm going to.
Fun. Yeah.
Thank
you. Yeah. And so that's
in a few minutes.
Yeah. Aiden Reads Tarot. So
8:30 Eastern, I believe. In just a few minutes, jump on over, and it's an awesome one.
Fun.
Yes.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.